Good morning, everybody. Great to see you here today. It is Monday, July 19th, 2021, and my name is Bettina Swigger. I am the CEO of Downtown SLO, and this is our now monthly response and recovery call. So I know a lot of you have gotten used to having your Monday mornings off, but we're happy to be here with you this week to give you a little bit of an update on what we've been up to over the last month and connect with some of our partners and have them share some information with you as well. So I hope that this day finds you well, and we will go ahead and get started. I think almost everyone's into the meeting yet. We still have a few folks trickling in, but I'll go ahead and get started. So our board of directors met last week, and their smiling faces are pictured here. So a big thanks to all of our board of directors for their leadership in what has been pretty crazy 16 months, but we're starting to get back to normal now, and we really appreciate all of your leadership. Just a brief update on what we discussed at the board meeting last week. It was the first meeting of our new fiscal year, which begins July 1. And so the budget was approved last month for basically pre-pandemic levels, as all of our events and programs are allowed to operate again with no more COVID restrictions. Just a quick reminder that our organization did experience about a 50% reduction in our income and also in our expenses in 2020-21. So we're definitely operating a little bit like a startup right now, even though we're bringing programs back that have been in existence for a long time. The board also discussed the future of parklets and the Open SLO program. And we also spent quite a bit of time talking about communication around the parking changes that went into effect this month in July, and also starting today with late parking going into enforcement. We'll hear more about that in a minute from Parking Services Department at the City of SLO. The board also discussed the organization's multi-year commitment to advocate for the construction of the Cultural District parking structure, which will be at Palm and Napomo. This has been a matter of great import to the board of directors for many years as that project has come into development. And so the board is committed to working with the city staff to communicate programs so that downtown employees have access to safe parking and provide some incentives. So over the coming weeks, we'll be communicating about things like the Downtown Access Pass, which is a free bus pass for anybody who works in the downtown, as well as some more validation programs and other ways to get folks into the structures and out of those main front spaces in the core of downtown. We also discussed the Concerts in the Plaza program, which will be coming back August 6th. More about that a little bit later. And a big thank you to the board members who are going to be volunteering at the bar on August 13th for Brass Mash. That'll be a lot of fun. And then also the board of directors reviewed a couple of vendor appeals from the farmers market. So that's our update from the board. And we also are really excited about the Parklet study session that is happening tomorrow night at City Council. And this is your advocacy alert. We will be at the meeting, which is taking place in person at City Hall. And we invite you to share your thoughts with council. The best way to do that is to email, and you can send an email to council@slocity.org. That's email council@slocity.org. But we're really looking forward to learning more about that. I looked at the agenda packet. It is a 1,000 page document. So this is the actual item 7A. It's quite lengthy. There was a lot of fun reading in here. Don't be too scared though, because some of these pages are survey questions, and there's more blank space on the page than there is text. So we invite you to read that, but also if you're not into reading heavy municipal government tomes, go to the study session. They'll be presenting it in a clear and straightforward manner. So exciting to hear about, especially those survey responses from more than 5,000 people who chimed in. And with that, I'm going to invite our operations and public space manager, Shannon, to talk about our reality today as it comes to the pandemic.
Good morning, everybody. So these are the COVID numbers as of July 16th. There are over 21,500 positive tests in SLO County, and there are 70 active cases as of last week. And that is quite a jump, if you remember from our last meeting. I think it's almost 3 times the amount of cases. There are 264 deaths in SLO County. Unfortunately, we lost 3 more community members last week. And over 168,000 doses of the vaccine have been administered in SLO County thus far. And a quick note, Los Angeles County returned to requiring masks indoors. So there is testing information available at readyslo.org and vaccine information at recoverslo.org. On to some brighter news. We're welcoming some new businesses into our downtown. So we welcomed 6 new businesses as of June 1st, 2021. You could go to the next slide, thank you. So we have Battle Axe. If you would like to do some axe throwing downtown, that is on Higuera Street, super fun. They have about 6 or 7 stations in their location. It's really awesome. Len Collective is back. Super happy to welcome them in their new beautiful space. And Ragtag Wine Co. opened on Higuera as well, and they have the most beautiful parklet if you want to enjoy some wine outside. We've also welcomed Slow Delicious Bakery, and as you can see, they have some amazing baked goods, and they also have paninis, tea, that sort of thing. So they've got lots of goodies for you. Slow Piercing opened up on Monterey Street. They have some really beautiful jewelry if you're interested. And Teasers on Court Street opened, which is really awesome. So we're very excited to welcome all these new businesses, and we will be welcoming many more in the next coming months.
Great. Yes, Shannon, it's true. We do have a lot of new businesses coming about. We have some changes coming up. I know Humankind over the weekend announced that they will be moving into a larger space on Monterey Street. So that's very exciting for them. Congratulations to our board president, Laura, who's involved with that organization. And now we're going to go into everyone's favorite topic when it comes to downtown, parking. So I believe we have a representative from the City of SLO Parking Services. I think Alex Fuchs is here today. Good morning, Alex. How are you?
I'm good. I guess I joined in at the right time.
You did. That was almost kismet.
So I figured the big topic, right, the pressing issues, the changes that are taking place today. So I can recap that a little bit on what we're doing right now. We've made the changes on the IPS parking meters, the credit card capable meters, and the pay stations so that the new rates and hours are reflected on there. We're also going to be pulling off the stickers on the pay stations today just because they do show that our enforcement hours are ending at 6 p.m. and new stickers have been ordered. Signs are coming today that will be posted this week. And those are going to be focused initially on Marsh, Higuera, and Monterey, but they will be throughout the entire downtown area. They're going to be coming in about 3 shipments because I think it was something close to 300 signs that we had to order. And so it was enough that the company we're working with needed to do them in batches. So the first shipment will come today. They'll start going up, and then we should have all of them, if not a majority, by the end of the week. New stickers for all of the single space meters and all the pay stations have been ordered, and we're awaiting those. We have our enforcement officers out later into the evenings, not every day just because we don't have the new staff dedicated. So we have existing daytime staff that will be shifting their work hours, and they'll be coming a little bit later and then leaving between 8:30 and 9 to get people used to our new hours of operation. And they will be doing warnings for the next 2 weeks, if not longer, just to so there's no kind of gotchas or surprises out there. And then I heard, but I haven't confirmed, that our rate changes and our enforcement hours ran on the news last night. And Gavin told me today that he's going on 2 morning radio shows. I think it was Up and Adam in the morning, and then I think possibly the Dave Congleton show, to talk about the changes and answer some of the difficult questions that they've been posing recently. But I have seen also that all the information is updated online. I think there's a few minor changes we need to make to the interactive parking map, just mainly with the tier structures and everything. But so far, it feels like a good start. And I think the only thing that we haven't dialed in just yet is the coin-only meters. The programming on those is a little old, and we have to get a third-party company to help us program the parking meters, but we're reaching out to them and getting that going and just making sure that everything is in line with the timelines and the dates that we've been putting out to the public. But please, if there's any questions or feedback, let me know now and I can start working on it early, because I think this week is going to be pretty much exclusively or at least predominantly focused on the rate change and the enforcement hour changes.
Yes, Alex, and I wonder if you could touch on some of the reasons that these rate increases went into effect. You can see we put some information up here on the screen, but I think that might be helpful for folks to understand why these are necessary.
No, absolutely. The big thing is, of course, funding the construction of a new parking structure. Our fund has been hit quite significantly by the COVID pandemic. I think there was about 4 million over the past 2 years that we didn't realize that we had estimated we'd receive, barring normal operating years. But the parking structure is estimated to be around 43, 44 million for construction across all phases, and that does include the environmental work that we've done, acquiring properties, and other elements that have sort of preceded it, including like design. But 44 million is much more than we could pay for through our working balance, and so we need to secure money in the future to show that we can cover our ongoing debt service and the operating costs of the structure. And without that, we're not going to be able to secure a loan for the difference that we're not going to be able to cover with our fund balance. So that's the big portion of it. But also another portion of it is that we had a rate increase in 2018, and prior to that, we didn't have one until I think about 2011. So we're kind of lagging behind. We try to keep to what was established years ago as sort of a normative rate increase cycle of about every 3 years. This rate increase was supposed to take place last year, and of course we weren't going to do that in the midst of a global pandemic, and so we asked council to defer it. They did, and then at the 2-year budget adoption, we asked that we go forward with implementing it in this fiscal year, and they approved that. But so far, we don't have any future rate increases approved beyond this one. We will be going back to council after we get about a year of good data and good revenue numbers with this new rate, and see if there are additional future rate increases that we could program out. But really, in short, a lot of the programs that we run, including maintenance of the facilities, runs in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And without rate increases, we're not able to not only cover our debt service, but reinvest back in our parking garages and show that our fund is fiscally solvent in order to take on new debt service, like for the Pomo parking structure.
Thanks, Alex. And I also want to just remind folks, or maybe tell you for the first time, that when the news of this, the rate change that had been deferred from last year came about, we had a lot of conversations about whether or not the first hour free would be extended. And we want to thank you for hearing us, because we advocated quite strongly that the first 60 minutes stay free. And that is in the plan going forward. So we are in conversation constantly. And I think that was a good acknowledgement of some of the things that are important to remember when we're thinking about customers and their experience when they come downtown, to make it convenient.
No, absolutely. I mean, the rising cost of the Pomo parking structure has forced us to kind of look at all avenues for additional revenue generation, and that was something that we just put out there because it is an asset to the community, but it does come at a pretty high cost, just because a lot of people know it and they take advantage of it, and we have about a third of our garage customers that will leave it within that first hour, and it's a lot that we're kind of leaving out there uncollected, but yeah, it is a community benefit. So we decided not to go forward with it. I don't think, I hope that we won't need to do it anytime soon, but it is something that we'll continue to maintain, at least for this coming fiscal year.
Great. And there's a question in the chat. How much is currently in the parking fund?
Our working capital right now is sitting at about 10 million. We were estimated to be about closer to 14, 15, but it tends to to fluctuate a little bit just because we have a 20% operating reserve we need to maintain. So that kind of takes it down a little bit. And then as well as money that we've committed, funds that are going to the police officers and other internal services that we provide, like additional engineering positions. So we're hoping that we can fund the phase one of the parking structure, which is demolition, site grading, preparation for a little theater area. And I think we're estimated that would take us down to about 4 million, maybe a little bit lower if we minus out some of our other obligations and stuff. So we should be able to take that on, but the phase two, the actual vertical construction of the parking structure, we're going to have to pretty much bond for the entire amount unless we see sort of a windfall over the next year or 18 months.
And did any of the, I mean, I know there were two major hotels that probably had to pay in lieu fees. Did those go into the parking fund as well?
What we used to call the Chinatown Hotel project, which is now Hotel SLO, I think added about 2.5 million in lieu fees. Hotel Cerro, I think, ended up providing 100% of their parking on site, so they didn't end up paying any lieu fees. I will say they did, and then we ended up having to refund them because they recalculated some of their parking requirements. But really, over about the last 10 years, we've only received something like 4.5 to 5 million in lieu fees, which only pays for about 10% of the Ponapoma parking structure. And you can't, of course, just build 10% of a garage. You got to build all of it. And I know that's been a little bit of a misnomer that there's tens of millions of dollars in lieu fees that have been coming in, but really overall it's quite small. I think the fee right now for a new space is about 21,000, and then if it's a conversion of an existing space, I believe it's less than half that.
Okay, thanks for that level of detail. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tricky thing, right? Because people don't necessarily like paying for parking, but we do like having access to safe parking and plentiful parking. So it's a little bit of a paradox, but we're not alone in suffering from this problem. So hopefully things will go better, especially with the mobile app coming soon. Do you have any update on when the mobile app will be ready?
We still have it in line for the end of August. So we got to go ahead from our legal department to contract with a company called CurbTrack, which essentially they provide an integrated data management system because we want to offer multiple mobile payment services, not just one company. We want to try to offer 2, 3, maybe even 4 that, and it just broadens the base of people that are already using the app that can use it here as opposed to establishing a new account. But we're going to contract with CurbTrack for the management system, and then we're going to put out an RFP for mobile payment services, and we're going to probably post it for a week or 2 and try to shorten that timeline as much as we can. Start negotiations sometime early August, and then by the end of August have agreements set, and then start working on signage and, of course, outreach to the public.
Great. I'm imagining people leaving concerts in the plaza in late August and September, and then just, going to the concert and paying by phone. This is a good dream to have. I think it can come
No,
true.
absolutely.
Very exciting. Okay, great. Well, I know there are some other alternatives to street parking, and we'll be working on communicating out this. So, we always advocate for parking and walking. It's such a walkable, wonderful downtown, and in addition to the first hour being free, you've cut the amount of all-day parking costs. So it's just $6, which is a pretty good deal, in my opinion. We encourage people to ride a bike. There's a new bike plaza at Monterey, and that was brought to you by Bike SLO County as part of the Open SLO program. We are a circulation pass provider for the downtown access pass. So if anybody has employees who work downtown, or you are an employee who works downtown, come into our office and you can get access to a free bus pass. And then we're also interested in this concept of parking validation tickets, which would basically mean that you could give these out to your customers or your employees, depending on how you choose, which would give them additional free parking and help them feel better about parking downtown. We're especially interested in this. Other downtowns frequently will list on their website which businesses offer validation, and that's something that we could very easily add to our program. So anything else you want to add, Alex?
No, I think that covers quite a bit of it. I will say with the parking validations, we're sort of doing it's a new way of doing a program that we've had around for a while, but the chaser validations that we have are, in my opinion, easier to use than those little strips of paper or the coins that we used to give out. It looks exactly like the entry ticket. You just put your entry ticket into the station when you're ready to leave, and it'll say how much you owe, and then you put the chaser ticket in, and it'll apply the value. And then if it covers the full amount, the gate will open up and you're free to leave. If it doesn't, then you can pay the difference. And we do have that updated information online, and we have a form on there if businesses want to go on. So that may make it easier if you want us to provide a list of businesses that are purchasing the validations from us. We have that in digital form, so it's something that we could provide to you.
Great, great. We look forward to hearing more about that. And I have one last question before we let you go. And as well as if any of you have questions, please put them in the chat. But I'm curious about what how are the structures filling up? I know I saw the structure full sign out at Farmers Market one week, and it was the first time I'd seen that since I think the holidays 2019. So how is the visitation going, and are is the revenue coming in?
Yes and yes. And the last farmers market, I believe all three of the garages had to have the full signs placed out at some point in time. So that's great news, and that means that they're either at 95% occupancy or almost 100% completely. And we usually do, just so everybody knows, we either do soft closures where we put the sign out, but we still let people come in if they're interested in trying to find a space, or we do a physical hard closure, and we let say a dozen or 20 cars exit, and then we'll open it back up and let people in. But they have been filling up for farmers market, and as I've been coming in, at least to the Marsh garage, there's more cars that are in there in the morning, which either means hotel guests are parking in there, and that and I have heard that a lot of the hotels are at full occupancy recently, which is great news. Or that is people making the smart choice and Uber or lifting home as opposed to driving home after maybe having a drink or two. But I will be pulling some information today to show pre-farmers market, the partial closure for farmers market, and then the full closure within the garage to see if that activity level is increasing or if it's kind of plateaued. But at least anecdotally from what I've heard from our staff that work on those evenings, that it as soon as the full closure hit, our garages got significantly busier to the point where we have been putting out the full sign. And I have been talking to Gavin about reactivating those digital occupancy signs on the outside so that once the garage fills up, it will say full on those as well instead of just saying open, because that's some feedback that we've gotten that it is a bit confusing for people when they see the open sign and then they pull up and they can't physically get into the garage. So definitely we can make some improvements there.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate that. I'm sure we'll talk many times over the next week. So appreciate you being here this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Up next, we have Mr. Lee Johnson from the city of SLO. How are you this morning, Lee?
I am doing good, Bettina. Can you see me and hear me and all that?
Yes.
Excellent.
Good morning.
Good morning. So a couple things you touched on tomorrow night's council meeting, which is a big one. That will be very interesting to see how that goes and the direction that we get. Also, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar, but on some of the issues during COVID, like there was the jails were closed, certain things happened, all of that stuff that made some of our enforcement issues with various misdemeanor crimes and things tougher to manage. A lot of those restrictions have started to go away. They've been lifted at the state level. A lot of the county ones have been lifted. There is still a zero bail policy for the county of San Luis Obispo, and my understanding is that's under review by the presiding judge that's responsible for that. So all of that, we'll see what that leads to as we move ahead, but we're paying attention very closely to see what happens with that. And then as well, you mentioned Los Angeles has gone back in with the mask mandate, and so have a lot of counties up in the Bay Area. That's primarily to protect unvaccinated people. The state guidance is still that you do not need a mask if you're unvaccinated indoors. And as far as we're aware, the county will follow the state guidance, and then we will, the city obviously, follow the county guidance. If that changes, obviously we'll give everyone an update. That's where it stands now. Also, a company called Placer ID AI has been putting out new data on foot traffic in downtowns and cities, et cetera. And for downtown SLO, for the business improvement district, the retail recovery, they call it 84% this July versus July 19. And then the domestic tourism recovery is at 105%. The city overall is at 107% for retail recovery and 117% for domestic tourism recovery. I don't know exactly where all that data comes from. There's a webinar on it later this week. It's a free tool, so you get what you get, but I thought that was interesting to share. Otherwise, that's it for me.
That's wonderful news, Lee. Thanks for sharing that. Is that similar to the Arrivalist where it uses cell phone data, or how do they measure that?
So I don't know all of the details behind it yet. I'm going to wait for the webinar to learn it, but I'm pretty sure it is tracker-based from cell phones. That's where almost all of this comes from. It just depends on what tools you use to sort that, the algorithms and all those things. Could be slightly different than Arrivalist, but it's a similar process.
That's great. Well, good news. 107%. I mean, that you can't argue with that.
Nope. It's, we'll see. Keep plugging away.
Great. Thanks very much, Lee.
Yep.
All right. Up next, we have our county supervisor, Supervisor Dawn Ortiz-Legg. Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Thank you. How's everybody? Nice to see everyone. I'm kind of like a little, I don't know, my clock went a little haywire. It's a busy day. We have board hearing tomorrow on redistricting, by the way. But I am going to share my screen with you and give you an update on what's going on since we last saw you all. That's okay. There we go. Share screen. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right, that's me. All right. Well, happy July, everybody. I want to just give you an update since we saw you last on what's been going on here. And I think one of the things that has been, in the news a lot is that we need a new county clerk recorder because Tommy Gong left on July 2nd. And so what the board decided last week was that we would have, each of us would get to choose somebody for a committee that will then go through the resumes and pick the 7 top candidates that will come before the board and will be interviewed in a live session, in a special session in October to be the next clerk recorder. Each of us has a chance to appoint somebody. I was lucky to get a familiar face for San Luis City, and that's Ken Hampion as the person who will represent District 3. I think it's really important to have a non-political, non-partisan individual to help go through the selection process. And so Mr. Hampion has agreed to do that, and I'm just put out a release, and this is some of the quotes from that, is that, for those who don't know, who are new to the community, Ken was the city manager for 20 years and as a highly well-known and highly trusted public servant. And he has actually been called into other counties and cities to help them clean up messes of all sorts. So he comes with lots of gold stars by his name, and I'm really honored that he's willing to serve District 3 in being part of that selection process. I wanted to also give you some updates on cannabis. One of the things that we have here in SLO County is that we have cultivation, and that is an important part of the whole, the business model is that you got to grow the stuff, right? So we kind of had a very clunky start for the last couple of years. We had a session since we saw you last where we kind of hashed out some of the things that have been really problematic. And the fact is that we only have like 3 grows that have really gone up and actually doing anything. So they are just feeling like, okay, now we're finally ready to go. And then we're doing this rate increase, a tax increase. So we did not do that. So we started at 4 and then we're supposed to go to 6, or it is at 6, and then it was supposed to go to 8. Well, we held it at 6. which I think is really important. We got to get this industry up and running. You know, we don't want to be Santa Barbara County. I will make that note. But we only have a very limited amount of cannabis applications that we're actually able to approve. So we will never get to be like Santa Barbara County. But for what we can do, we can certainly have a robust industry to provide revenues, and then also continue on that stream of grow to the like Grover Beach and also here in Soul City where you've got the retail. And I'm hoping that we might do some brick and mortar too. We also did some streamlining of applications, and basically we have a round table for both the cannabis growers and then all the agencies involved. It was kind of a mess, to tell you the truth, and we're going to come back and do some more streamlining on that. So that's a improvement. And then another big picture item is that you might have seen some things about offshore wind in the newspaper. And really the role here at the county, and I may have mentioned it in past, is that if we could have a port, just like we have an airport, a clean energy port that would support these wind farm capacity, that would be a big boon for us. And what we're doing is that we passed a resolution at the county stating that we support this industry and that we were looking for putting forth the feasibility of doing a wind port, and that did pass. Now what we've done is that with our REACH partners, we've put out a letter to both the president and the governor that, hey, we're over here. We want to build this infrastructure to help support this industry. It's also could do a lot of things for electric transportation on the ocean, and it could be all sorts of things that this port could be. Now, we're not talking a port like Port Hueneme, and I know I've said this before. This would be something that would be a clean energy port. So, electric vessels and things like that what we would want to have there. And so what we did in our letter is basically say, we're looking for funding in order to do our feasibility study that will include both, is there a place on this coast that could support a clean energy port, and also feasibility study for the fishermen on the impacts to their industry and how we can do things together. Last week, we did the $18 million yes vote for the Bob Jones pathway on the California Transportation Funds. And this is a very important piece that we got the votes needed to do that, because without having this money in, we can't then go and finish 60% of what we have here as far as what our plan is to do this 4.5 mile long interconnection piece from the Octagon Barn down to Ontario Road. And that will take some more effort. Once we get this 60% design done, then we can go back and negotiate. And most of the landowners in the area that we're looking at, almost all of them are supportive of it. We have one little bugger that we're dealing with that we're hoping that we can get him on track to be able to support our Bob Jones pathway, because what a great thing that would be. Every other city and county all over this country has long bike paths, and I think it's time for us. So we're working on that. Okay, that's what I have for you. And now I'm going to take questions on anything that you may have for me.
Oh, that was such a great update. Thank you very much for the thoroughness, and also just the sort of broadening of our context. I know, we're in downtown, and it can seem maybe like some of those things aren't going to affect downtown directly, but I think they will in every way. Like the cannabis production, for example, I mean, the city of SLO was counting on some very significant revenue from those different types of businesses opening in the city. They rely on getting product. We love locally grown product in this community, right? So it's sort of one hand has to shake the other, it would seem to me.
Yes. I've tried to choose the items that I think that is doing exactly that. The things that I feel will impact the ability for downtown, both in the tourism industry, jobs creation, all of those kinds of things that are going to be important for our sustainable future. So, yeah.
Well, you did a great job. I do have one question for you about the wind farm. So are you looking to get the feasibility study now? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
The feasibility for the port. This is why this conversation is a big conversation. The wind farm itself, which we have the call area that has been designated 40 miles outside of Morro Bay, that has already been done by the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. So the fact is that a farm location has been identified 399 miles off the, it's area, 40 miles off the coast. So you really won't see it. And it's different than the picture that was just shown. Those were fixed. The wind farms that we're talking about now that are that far out will be floating platforms. This technology has actually been really developed by the North Seas of oil development. So the technology that's used in Europe and all is really come out of the oil industry. And so these flat floating platforms could be further out. Why that's important is not only for the visual impact of it, but it's because out there's more of a consistent wind that's happening. And so when you don't have intermittent winds, because if you ever go through Tehachapi or something, you see this, it's like, why aren't the windmills on, kind of a thing. We need to have the wind to be constant so we can what we refer to as base load power, kind of a constant power. So what we're talking about feasibility then is to support that wind farm. One of the things about renewable energy is that you've got this enormous upfront cost to build this kind of wind farm. It's like our solar farm. But then it kind of just sits there and generates until something breaks down. And what you want is to be able to repair it very quickly. Because the minute a turbine goes down, that's dollars and cents that are not being generated. And so to have a wind port that's somewhere within that area of that wind farm where they can tow that equipment in and tow it back out fast, that's going to be very attractive. That's going to be a much more attractive look for developers. And we already have people that are beginning to show interest in our area. Crowley, big names in maritime are beginning to say, hey, what's going on down there? And I think that, we have to do this. This is going to be a very long public process, a lot of conversations, many stakeholders, but I think that we're going to see that could be something for the future. And I'm very excited about it. And I hope you are too.
That's great. I see John Ashbaugh has a question. John? Oh, you just asked it in the chat, but go ahead.
Okay, redistricting, he wants to know. We have not seen any new maps yet on redistricting. Tomorrow is a redistricting conversation in the afternoon. We'll see what is coming forth as far as presentation, but basically redistricting happens every 10 years. Why boundaries change, so whether District 3 would change would be dependent on, it's supposed to be dependent on population changes and then groups of interest. And so we do, in a sense, have a group of interest. This could be anybody who feels that they're not part of the majority kind of a thing. So let's just take my population, the Latinx population. They would be a community of interest. So they could make a claim like, hey, we want to be part of, we want to remain in District 4, let's say Oceano, for example, or, I don't know where San Miguel would go because they're very at the top of District 1, but that's kind of the conversation that has to go. And it's going to be very much watched by everybody, because what redistricting is people trying to change the maps to benefit their interests. And that means party interests. So there could be some redrawing of lines. But since we haven't gotten our data back from the census, so we don't know what kind of populations have changed, and we're all delayed because of COVID, we don't really know what this is going to look like. On top of it, what happened in the 10 years since is that laws have changed. So it's not going to be just quite as easy to just take the map and say, oh yeah, we want to cut this out, put this over here and do that. So more on this to come. Tomorrow will probably be one of the more bigger conversations that we have, still without the actual information that we need to be able to say, oh no, that won't work. You haven't had that population change in order to change that boundary. So that's what I can share on that. Any other questions? I do want to tell you one thing. I just had Mike Hill, who is our director of our health and services, and he told me, I said, Mike, are we going to be wearing masks anytime soon? He said that, probably not next week, but maybe soon. And he will, Wade's no longer, Wade Horton, our CAO, is no longer in charge of COVID. It's back over into the Director of Health and Human Services, Mike Hill. And he said, the issue is that he just gave me some numbers, and that is 67% of vaccinated people are wearing masks inside, and only 55% of unvaccinated people are wearing masks inside. So what that means, with the numbers growing, that if we don't see better responses, that we're probably going to be wearing masks inside. And I'll just, tell you that nothing frustrates me more than these statistics and what's going on. So I'll end there. I really thank you for letting me pop in here, and if there's nothing else, I'll just listen to the rest of your program. And I can't wait to see you all downtown.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Ortiz-Leg.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And we'll watch that meeting tomorrow about the redistricting for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, let's hear from Courtney Keno at Cal Poly. How are things going at Cal Poly this summer?
Good morning, all. They are going really well. I will say I wanted to start off this morning by talking about how you all and businesses can post to students about job openings. I feel like the biggest outreach I'm getting right now is from our local businesses that are saying, I can't find employees and I can't open because I can't find employees. And so I'll post a link in the chat to our career services site, and our executive director there, Eileen Beaker, is fantastic. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, most of our classes and academic services are still virtual for the summer. So the pool of students that are in town locally is less than normal. But that transitions us into what to expect for fall, and that is a return to more normalcy. The majority of our classes and academic services will be in person, and part of what allows us to do that is the requirement that is still pending, but likely to require all employees and students to be vaccinated to be able to come onto campus. And why I say pending is the CSU did put a caveat on that one of the vaccines has to be FDA approved before we can officially move forward with that. So we are closely watching all of that. Some other quick things that I'm sure are generating foot traffic into your businesses. SLO days in person are in full swing. They started just about a little over 10 days ago and will go through August 13th. Those are, I'm sure most of you are aware, 2 days of orientation for both new students and their parents or supporters that are coming into town. And the other quick dates that I wanted to make you all aware of, September 14th is a Tuesday. That is the big move-in day for first-year students on campus. And that is followed by Week of Welcome, which starts on the 15th of September and lasts through the 19th. And I think those are all the big updates I had for you this morning.
Thank you, Courtney, and thanks for sharing that resource about the employees. That definitely is the biggest issue that we're facing downtown. So appreciate that, and goodness knows we've found a lot of wonderful interns and other part-time employees through Handshake. So appreciate that resource.
Awesome, thanks.
All right, up next we have Kayla Anderson from the SLO Chamber of Commerce. How are you doing this morning, Kayla?
Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. It's good to see you guys again. This once a month thing just isn't enough, Bettina. I miss you guys. So the biggest change at the chamber right now is with events. We are so excited to announce that we are going back in person, which is very, very exciting for all of us. And so we're starting with Good Morning SLO this Thursday. And so that's on July 22nd from 7:30 to 9. There's a caveat here though. This is going to be hybrid for the first one, just to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row and everyone is feeling safe and feeling comfortable. And so the only people that will be in person are speakers if they choose to be there with their soapboxes, as well as a limited number of our sponsors and annual pass holders. but it is open for anyone to attend virtually. So, I mean, I wish I could attend virtually. I actually liked it better virtual because you could watch it from your bed. And so I'll go ahead and pop that link in the chat for anyone that's interested in zooming in. And then we're not going to have a mixer in July, but I am pleased to say that we are gearing up for a very large in-person mixer in August. And so we're going to have that over at the Madonna Inn at the Expo Center. We're not going to have it inside the Expo Center. We're going to have it in that top parking lot. So people feel a little bit more comfortable. It is outside with that airflow. It's going to be a really fun party, you guys. So please mark your calendars. We're going to have, you know, our winery partners, breweries, our coffee, teas, really good food, good drinks, and good company. And so we're expecting to see about 300 people there. Again, you don't need to register for our in-person mixers. You just show up. That's between 5:30 and 7:30. And so if you don't get off work until 6:30, still pop on by. We'll still be having a good time. And although it is a membership mixer, you don't have to be a member of the chamber to attend. So if you're not a chamber member, I encourage you just to come out and see some fellow friends over there. And that is all that I have, Bettina.
Great. Well, thank you. And I hear you on the watching Good Morning SLO from the comfort of your bed wearing your pajamas. But it will be fun to see people's smiling faces again. So good luck with that. The transition in events, as we know here, it's a lot. So it's super fun, but it's also a lot. All right, thank you. Up next, we have Kristen from the SBDC, who's going to tell us a little bit about an exciting new program that they have launched that will help your businesses downtown. Kristen, are you there?
I forgot mute.
Oh, hi. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Thanks for having me. Judy's on vacation, so I'm filling in for her. For those of you that don't know me, one of the hats I wear there is I'm a lead consultant on the marketing team. But we're excited, the SBDC is excited to announce the Moving Main Street Forward campaign, which is focused in on, you know, all these wonderful small businesses that you find in the downtown area, from, you know, retailers, restaurants, gyms, you know, really that heart and soul of the business community. So we've beefed up our consulting teams. We have over 30 advisors that are ready to help any businesses, and it's complimentary one-on-one consulting across all your cornerstones of business. We also, as a reminder, have our open office hours where businesses can get sage advice from accountants, attorneys, how to raise venture capital, banking, etc. We're also excited to announce that we have become experts in how to help women-owned businesses become certified so that they can participate in you know, bidding processes. And then last but not least, we still have our workshop series that's getting more beefed up as well too, quite a bit on social media, you know, transitioning to e-commerce, but then the fundamentals like QuickBooks and things of that nature. So moving Main Street forward, we're excited about it.
Well, that's great, Kristen, and that's definitely our mission here at Downtown SLO. So excited to see that move forward. Can you tell us how much it costs to participate in those programs?
That's the best thing. It's free. If you are not a client of the SBDC, you can go to sbdc.calpoly.edu and register. And I own several businesses myself, and I use the resources all the time at the SBDC. Big fan.
That's great. And are the coachings happening in person, or are they mostly virtual these days?
That's a great question. They're mostly virtual these days. However, the center is open, and we have our lead consulting meeting at the end of the month, where I think we're going to be learning about how we're going to get back to in person as well.
Great. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. And we encourage everybody to take advantage of this amazing resource that just happens to be located in our downtown. So thanks for coming on, Kristen. And
yeah, thanks, Bettina.
We'll see you soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right, up next, we're going to talk a little bit about our internal programs, the ones that we bring, the events and programs that we bring to downtown to bring customers and visitors and families to the downtown. So we'll start off with everybody's favorite Thursday night party, the Farmers Market. And I'm going to invite Whitney Cheney, our program director for the Farmers Market, to talk a little bit about how everything's been going.
Thank you, Bettina. Yes, hello everyone. Hopefully you have been able to come to the farmers market and experience all the delight, all the sounds, all the live music. It's been really fun. We've been fully operational since June 17th. Some facts for you: since we opened in a modified format in May up and through last Thursday, we have had $3,675 redeemed in EBT. We've had over 4,000 pounds donated through the Green SLO program. And every week we're seeing over 7,000 people come through. We have our volunteers in the intersections doing a people head count, helping with general, information for market goers, helping with our dog policy as a friendly reminder. Dogs are not allowed. It's actually a California health code violation to bring a non-service animal to a farmer's market. It's not just ours, it is a statewide health code. If you're interested in helping us volunteer, though, we're always looking for more. So please reach out to us. You can either email me and I can connect you with our volunteer coordinator, Cassidy, or you can directly reach out to Cassidy at downtownslo.com. She'll probably drop her email in the chat. But it's been super fun. Applications keep coming in for vendor spots. Our legacy vendors continue to come as they staff up and get ready. It's just been a fun time. Last week we held the Race Slow Matters Belonging block party on Morrow Street, which was a really cool activation. They had DJs and some Black-owned business vendors. And there's a really cool video that they posted where the DJ's playing and it pans up into the apartments and there's people in the windows dancing. And it was just such a fun, it's what we're here for. We're a community gathering space. We're a free event for people to come through. As Alex spoke to earlier, the parking garages have been full. It is one of those situations where I look around and look at everyone being happy, and just it's the unofficial start to the weekend. So we encourage you to come down every Thursday, live music, good food. It's just a good time.
Thank you, Whitney. And I want to publicly congratulate you for all of your hard work on this program. Having more than a year of non-operation gave you some time to generate some really good ideas that you've been able to implement. And we're all really, really grateful for your leadership. So thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's support.
All right, up next, just want to give you a friendly reminder that the Plaza pop-up in July is with the San Luis Obispo Children's Museum, and it's a beautiful installation featuring a giant inflatable globe. And if you haven't seen it yet, we highly encourage you to go down and go to Mission Plaza and check it out. Thanks to the Children's Museum for that. Up next in August, the San Luis Obispo County Arts Council will be presenting some very fun whimsical art sculptures, and that'll be a little bit of a different activation, and it'll be really fun to see how that integrates in with the concerts in the plaza. And now, speaking of concerts in the plaza, I'm going to invite our event manager, Nisha Johnston, to tell us a little bit about what's going on with concerts in the plaza.
Yes, good morning, everyone. We are so excited. Concerts in the Plaza is coming back this year. It's going to be an 8-week series from August 6th through September 24th. This is our lovely poster on the left. If you want this poster in your businesses, please let me know. We can drop one off to you, the ambassadors. So a few things to expect this concert series as it starts in 2.5 weeks. Event is from 5 to 8 o'clock, live music from 5:30 to 7:30. Sir Dave McAzeal will be kicking off the series, and the bar is open from 5 to 7:30. So we'll have, again, Firestone, Shay Michelle, and Jean Marie serving at the bar, and then we'll have canned water for sale, as well as Taco Works. We'll be providing chips, and then food will be available for purchase by Libertine Brewing Company. They have their mac and cheese as well as pulled pork sandwiches, so it's really good. We encourage everyone to bring a reusable cup. No glass, please. We will have, yep, there it is. We will have beer and cider cans only this year, so no draft. And then wine will be out of the bottle, and we'll also have clean canteens available for purchase. And then a few other things. We will have the main bar located in the Mission Plaza, and then the satellite bar again this year. We had it in 2019, and that will be under the pergola. And again, it will be beer and cider only, will be cans. We will not have dogs at concerts in the plaza unless it's a service dog. And then parking, check out the parking structures. And then we also have the free bike valet, and that's inside Mission Plaza. Everything COVID-19 related could be on our website at downtownslo.com/events/concerts. Or if you have any questions, reach out to me. But it'll be a really great event. We are so excited. Mission Plaza has been looking beautiful. We have the bistro lights up there. We can't wait to see what it'll look like during the concert series.
Thank you, Nisha. Really appreciate that. And I'm going to invite Shannon to come back on and talk a little bit about our Clean and Safe program. Shannon?
Yes, we have some exciting updates to our Clean and Safe program. So this month we welcomed our Mission Plaza ambassador named Fonda. She's here to provide additional safety and sort of a docent experience for the Children's Museum Plaza pop-up. So if you see her, definitely say hi. She is a friendly face to greet you. And some metrics for our ambassadors for the month of June: 224 pounds of trash have been removed from our downtown in the month of June. That's a lot of trash. 172 pieces of gum, 79 trash and recycling cans cleaned, and 68 benches cleaned. And I put up our ambassador hotline there if you ever need to reach out to them. Just a friendly reminder, you can reach them via phone. I'd also like to give you a little CapSLO update. So we have Junior from CapSLO downtown, about 10 to 14 hours per week. And he's had over 100 interactions with individual contacts, 41 interactions with repeat contacts to provide services, information, that sort of thing, and 4 interactions with business contacts. He's provided 44 no-cook food packs. He said that's a great way to kind of start the conversation with our unhoused folks. And he has spent 50 hours downtown this month, or last month, I suppose. And 2 of his clients went to 40 Prado, which is fantastic.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Shannon. Appreciate that. And I think we have now reached the questions portion of our morning meeting. It's 10:57, so we have 3 minutes to spare. Thanks to all of you who've been posting questions in the chat, and thanks to all of you who joined us this morning. We hope that these are helpful as we continue to move through the recovery and see new businesses open downtown, programs come back, and all of your businesses thriving. So if you do enjoy these meetings, please tell a friend. Our next meeting will be in August, and that will be August 16th. So unless there are any further questions, we're going to go ahead and let you go now 2 minutes early. Enjoy your 2 minutes, stretch, take a drink of water, and have a wonderful week, everybody.